How's it going, guys? So I was asked the other day, actually last night, if you were to complete an action, what would cause, how can you trigger something to open or even a wall crumble? So this is actually going to be a two-part tutorial. The first part I'm going to talk about how to make a door open, and then the second part I'll talk about more about this little guy over here. But the second part, part two, will be basically about how to make a wall crumble. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to create a new script. So we'll go into C# script, and we're going to call this object trigger. So is what I want to do is when this object over here comes over here and hits this object, it will destroy this, and it will not instantiate a new one. But if it lands outside of that, then it will destroy it, and it'll count as a miss. And so I'm actually going to need two of these guys to be able to do this, to properly show you. So the first thing we need with both of these is you need to make sure that they have a mesh collider, and we're going to add a component, and this is going to be a rigid body. So then the next thing we want to do is add another component, and this is going to be the, not the grate, the grav null object. There we go. So now these can both be affected by the grav null. Now this little guy over here, we're going to go ahead and put the object trigger script on it, and we're going to open this up in Visual Studio. And we're going to animate this door here in just a little bit, so no biggie. Actually, I don't know why I'm putting the script on that. It actually needs to go on the cubes. Joys of just getting off of work. Okay, so let me go ahead and click on this guy right here. I'm going to remove this. I'm then going to click on both, let's see, cube and cube. I'm actually going to call these destroy object. There we go. So I actually need to create a tag for this. So let me go ahead and create a tag real quick. So this way we have something that it can actually look at. Cube yes, which means it has been destroyed, and then we'll say cube no, which means we missed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this. This one will be cube yes. Then I'm going to click on the child of this, which all this has just a box collider, and this actually needs to be set to a trigger. Let me click on the parent, and that is set to trigger. Okay. If you want to be able to interact with it, so that way, like stops the player, then uncheck trigger, go into add component, and you can type in sphere collider if you want, and then we'll just check this one as a trigger. So this way is what will happen is if it hits any part up here and intersects this sphere, then it's going to, it's basically going to say, yeah, that it has had something interact with it or collide with it in some way. So what we need to do is this one is cube yes. The child of this is going to be cube no. And so inside Visual Studio, get rid of this crap. Y'all know how I feel about that. We're going to say public game object. We're going to say cube main. So the cube main is going to be the ones that we are throwing at it. It's pretty easy. If you have more than one like I do, you can always just say cube main 1, cube main 2, cube main 3, how many ever you have. But this is what's going to be instantiated. So we're going to say on trigger enter, and we're going to say if, if other dot gameObject.tag equals, and we're going to say cube yes, then we will destroy other, and if other.gameObject.tag equals cube no, then is what we're going to do is we're going to actually, you know what, we don't even need this cube main 2. We'll just make these as children of empty game objects. That would be way easier to do. So if it's cube no, is what we're going to do is we're going to say instantiate, and we're going to say cube main 1, and we're going to instantiate at the transform dot position, and this is going to be a quaternion dot identity, and then we will say destroy other. Now, if you're playing sounds, you may want to start a coroutine, and the way you do that, let me go ahead and space this out, is what you would do would be start coroutine, and we'll say destroy, or destroying. And so I'm going to actually highlight this line of code. It'll make sense here in just a second. So down here, we're going to type in enumerator. We're going to say destroying. We're going to say yield return new, wait 4 seconds, and let's say the sound clip is 1 second. You don't want this to be too terribly long, because then the object's just going to kind of hang around before it's actually destroyed. So we're going to say destroy, or actually, let's go ahead and call this in a new no, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to destroy it down here. I was thinking about calling that in a new method group, but yeah, I don't know. So let's see. We can't just say destroy other, because the other variable is up here, and so we need something to call on this, and so you may actually need another one, unfortunately, but that is okay. Oh, no, wait, we can't do it like that. Well, crap. Well, yeah, we can. Okay. Cube main 2. It would help if I had my parentheses. There we go. Okay, where did I screw up? Let's see. Oh. There we go. Haha. So, right here you'd say your audio source dot play, and that would be whatever you type it in here. So if you're saying public audio source, you say AS whatever, and then right here this would just be AS. So that's the way you would set that up. I'm actually not going to set it up that way because I'm not going to have any sounds playing, but I just wanted to show you that real quick so this way you had an idea on how to do that. So I'm just going to say destroy other. So let me go ahead and explain what's going on here. So if it hits cube no, it's going to instantiate a new cube, and then it will destroy it. If it actually hits, then it'll just destroy it. Now, we're going to need another script, because what's going to happen is we need a way to call back on it saying, oh, yeah, he definitely got it. So I will need another clip on this, and I'm just going to call it an object check. So let's go and create a new C# script, and this will just be called object check. And so I'm going to click on this once it finishes compiling. And there it goes. So object check, and I'm going to go ahead and open this. And in here I'm going to get rid of this crap. I'm going to say private int, and we're just going to call this trigger check. Void trchk, just abbreviation for trigger check, something real easy. Now you can call this whatever you want, same thing with this up here, you don't have to use my naming convention. So what we're going to do is we're going to say trigger check plus plus. So what's going to happen is each time this this method group right here is called, it's going to increment trigger check by 1. And so now we're going to need a public void, and we're going to call this open. This is what's actually going to open the door. and we're going to say if trigger check equals 2, then we will play our animation. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say open. So essentially what's going on is this is getting incremented by 1 each time this gets called. And each time it is getting called, it's going to call the open. So that's what's going on down here. Now in here we're going to say public object check. We're just going to say OC. Let's go ahead and do start, and we're going to say OC equals OC dot get component, and we're going to get the component type of object check. So if it hits this, is what we're going to say is OC dot TRC. There we go. Yeah, something like that. And so now each time this is called, this is actually going to, instead of doing other, I don't want to do other, because this is going to be attached to the, come on, Jimmy, get your crap together. There we go. This is actually going to be attached to the cube itself, so, yeah. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I don't want to destroy the thing I'm hitting. I want to, you get it. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Okay, so we have cube 1. No, wait, it's destroy object. That's what it was. And so, what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to delete this little guy so that way I can create a child right here, create empty, and I'm going to move this out, and I'm going to move this in. So this way it is always attached to it. And so for the game object, this little guy right here will have the scraps grab null and all this so we can interact with it, but the game object is just going to have object trigger. And I'm actually going to need to create a prefab of this. So let me go into the prefab real quick. I'm just going to drop this right in here. Okie dokie. So now we'll go back and let's see. We're going to want this guy right here. Alright, so let's go ahead and test this real quick and see if it is working or if I have missed something. More than likely I have missed something. So if this comes here, yeah, because that's normal. Let's see what I miss. Okay, I don't care about that. So let me click back up here, right here. There. Let's see. It's cube yes. And that is cube no. And this is just a cube. It should work. Don't know why it didn't. Unless I typed it wrong, which I guess is entirely possible. Let's see. Console. Nope, nothing there. Nothing there. So, did I forget something? Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. You know, I feel like an idiot right now. So, what's going on is... wow, I feel like an idiot. The cube is doing what it's supposed to do, but we don't have the object trigger attached to it, which is why it's not working. And so we're actually going to have to create another script, which is no biggie. So I'm actually going to get rid of this line of code, and I'm going to get rid of this line of code. Man, I feel like an idiot. I'm sitting there like, why is it not working? Well, Jimmy, why don't you have a script attached to it? Inst. Okay, so all I did was create a new C# script. I called it inst, which will stand for instantiate. I'll click on game object up here. I'll drag the script on there, and then you'll see it will work. So essentially this one doesn't actually need this. Man, I feel like a dumbass. I am not going to lie. Okay, so now destroy object should have the object trigger on it, and it does. OC will have the cube destroy object on it, and then we'll come back in here and we'll double click on the inst script, and this will be a public game object, GC game object, and we're going to say public void inst. No! There we go. And we're going to say instantiate GC transform.position. We're going to do that quaternion.identity. There we go. Okay, then from object trigger is what we're going to do, is we're going to say public inst, and we're going to say in, there we go. And then down here we're going to say in equals in dot get component, and the component we are getting is called inst, because that's the script we are calling. Close that off, and then if it hits no, we're going to say in dot something. Inst, just called inst. Okay. There we go. Wait, did I type this in? Yes, I did. Okay. Awesome. Wasn't sure if I remembered or not. Alright, so we'll wait for that to finish compiling. We're going to click on this little guy. Make sure all that. Okie dokie. So that's going to be here, because this is where the inst script is attached to. We'll click on the game object, and we'll drag the destroy object on here. Okay. Now, if you watch this, you're going to see that it actually works once it loads. So we drop that here, and nothing happened. Okay. That is awesome. Well, something did happen, but yeah. So I'm actually going to drag this down here, and actually is what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a component, apply it to prefab object, and we're going to come down here, add a component, apply to prefab. There we go. Move component, apply to prefab. Okay, so now all this stuff is applied to my prefab, so that is going to work just fine. So I'm actually going to create 2 of these. Now I want to animate this door, so I'm going to go into, where are you at? Animation? And that's what I want to do. With that door selected, make sure the door or whatever object you're animating is selected before you do this. But once it's selected, just click on Create. And this is going to be an idle state of closed. We already have it closed, so I'm going to say tut closed, which is tutorial closed, so you can see what's going on. We're going to add the rotation property to this, and I'm just going to select this, Control C. We're going to click back up here, create new clip, and we're going to say tut opening, if I can spell. We'll hit save, Control V, and then right here at 1 second is what we're going to do is click on the record button, move this down. I'm just going to have it open like that, so you will actually see it animating. From there, I'm actually going to grab both of these guys, Control C, and we'll create a new clip called tut open, Control V. I want to get rid of these guys, and I'm just going to move these over here, and then I'm going to create a new clip called tut closing, Control V. Now, so what I'm going to do with these, I'm actually going to take these, move them about 30 seconds. I'm going to take these right here and move them where the first pair was I grabbed, and I'll grab these and finish moving all the way down to 0. And now that animation is made. So when I go into the animator with that object selected, close will be up here, open will be on the bottom, opening will be right here, and closing will be right here. And so I'm going to make a transition here, 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 and here. This one, we don't need exit time, but we do need a parameter, so I'm going to create a bool, and this will be called open. And open will be set to true. This one will have exit time. So this up here, this is called your time slider. I do not know what this is called specifically, but this is basically a blend editor or a blend animation editor right here. So if you have something like this where you have this box and then you have a box after it, you'll actually see it flash back open and then it'll close or whatever it's going on. So what you want to do is you actually want to grab this arrow, move it just barely over. Make sure there is only one box up here. Next thing you want to do is grab this back arrow right here. I'm actually going to move it forward, then release the mouse. So my mouse was actually all the way over here before I released the button. And then this gray box down here, you're going to do the same thing. Just drag it over here, release the button, and it'll snap into place. And so what's going to happen is it's actually going to play the animation opening, and then once it hits the open, it will be in a basically a locked state. So just something I want to throw out there. I'm not messing with this because if you uncheck exit time, it'll just instantly go to the next animation. And so because this one does have exit time, I'm going to leave that on there. I'm going to do the same thing I did just moments ago. And there we go. So now the door animation is set and we have it called open. So I'm going to drag this back down, and what I want to do is I'm going to go into object check, and I'm actually going to say public animator. Sitting there trying to think like, what is it called? Animator. Okay, so I'm going to say start m equals anim.getComponent. There we go. The component type we are getting is animator. And then I'm going to say anim.getBool open true. Booyah! Am I missing something here? Oh, Jimmy, you dumbass. Okay, set bool, not get bool. Wow. I'm making all sorts of error. I bet if you're watching this video right now, you're probably either A, calling me a dumbass, B, laughing, or C, both. Okay, so now that we have done that, and I have thoroughly destroyed my pride, we're actually going to click on this, and I need to name this cube. I'm going to call this door, and this one I'm going to call wall. So this way I know which one I'm looking at, and I don't keep making an ass of myself, which I'll probably end up doing without your help anyways, because, you know, I'm just that good. So, because the door game object has the animation component, I'm actually going to drag the door and move it down here. So this way this script can call the animator. So now's what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hit play. I'm actually going to miss the second one, but I'm going to make sure it hits on the first one. So come on. Let me click on this, and I already have the correct cube selected. So let me go ahead and just drag this up here. Okay, that one destroyed properly. Move this back here. And there's a new cube. Move this back here. Come back here, little cube. Okay, so that one did not do what I wanted it to do. So it did work, as you've seen. It did open the door once they both collided. But I do not know why it did not. Okay, that is correct. So let's go into object trigger real quick and take a look. So yeah, so that should have instantiated one. Okay, that is correct. Why did it do that? Nobody knows. Come on. There we go. So I'm going to move this over here. You know, it really helps if so it did exactly what I wanted it to do, but is what we need to do. I'm actually going to delete this guy. Come in here to project, and I'm going to delete this guy because I actually want to create a new prefab. You go in here, and I'm going to drag the destroy object in here. There we go. So hopefully this now works. Yeah, hopefully this works now. Let's find out, shall we? So I'm going to click on this, I'm going to move it over here, and it still does the same thing. Well, either way, you get the idea. I'm forgetting something, I just don't know what it is. Oh wait, yes I do. I know what I'm forgetting. It's because I don't have a prefab. So, it is kind of working. It's just not working the way it's supposed to. So, if I click on this, I actually need to destroy the object from the prefab itself. Now, hopefully, in theory, it'll work. In fact, let me double check this. Yeah, screw it, it's fine. Alright. Okay, one more test. This should be it. It should actually work this time. You'd think I still remember how to do this from my other tutorial, but I don't. Because I was just kind of like trying to remember on how to do it on the fly. So we have that. Let's see. Well, it still has the destroy script, so that's good. But this one doesn't have the instantiate script, so it doesn't know what to call. So if I click on this, destroy cube, the instantiate script will be the game object, so now it will work. Okay, now it will work. Oh, look at that cute little thing. Let me go and just change this transform. Alright. So we throw that over here. I said throw that over here. I said throw that over here. You know, I can really do this all day. Alright, so anyways, that's going to be it for the first part of the tutorial. You saw the door open once it hit 2. And one thing I do want to say real quick is you can actually create a public int, and let's just call this int check 1, int check 2. And so if you have multiple gates, you can actually come down here and say, let's go and say int check 1. And then what we're going to do is Control C, Control V, and this will be 2. The only difference is you'll actually have 2 animations. So this would be NM1 and this would be NM2. And so essentially your code would look something similar to this. And then we're going to say 1, Control C, 2. There we go. And so this is basically what your code would look like. So it would call, like the first door that you have would call animation, open from your first component of the animator. And then your second game object would be right here. And the nice thing about doing it this way, instead of just typing in a number, instead of having to wait for it to compile every single time and making you want to rip your hair out or whatever, or step on a Lego, I don't know. Let's see, you can simply enter the value here. So I already know that this one would be a 2, and this one might be like a 5 or whatever. And so in this case, I'd drag the door object to this one, and say the animator is the second. I'd simply drag the wall animator here to this one. You'll see that in the next tutorial, and I'll see y'all there. Well, I won't see you, but yeah. Anyways, later, dudes.